Chapter 911. Blind Worship. What Fairy Jishi? Wait, is it Lu Jishi who is known as the Miluo's twin beauties with Ice Lotus Fairy? That Doctors Association's president Lu Shuyang's only daughter. Who else can be called Fairy Jishi besides her? Also, don't compare that shameless Feng Lianying with Fairy Jishi. Regardless of medical skills, character or cultivation level, Fairy Jishi is much better than Ice Lotus Fairy. Yeah. In the Doctors Association, who didn't know that Fairy Jishi didn't rely on her father to get her current status. It is all achieved by her own talent. Feng Lianying can be called Miluo's twin beauties because of the power and influence of the Tsangming Kingdom and Feng family. Fairy Jishi has never boasted about herself outside, so Fairy Jishi's name isn't much more famous than Feng Lianying in the Tsangming Kingdom and Jingling Kingdom. However, who doesn't know which one of them is better? I heard that Fairy Jishi also gives free medicine to low-level martial artists every year, and also gives free medical treatment to the poor. She really has a kind heart. But some people were puzzled and asked the people around him in a low voice, since Fairy Jishi is so kind, why is her fellow junior sister apprentice so arrogant? The person being asked was stunned. He immediately lowered his voice excitedly. It is because Fairy Jishi's junior sister apprentice is so arrogant that it seems that Fairy Jishi's brilliance is more precious, isn't it? She obviously is more noble and has higher medical skills and cultivation than Ren Shuling, but she relied on her identity and power to do evil indiscriminately. Instead, she helps countless martial artists. Fairy Jishi is simply the goddess of my dreams. If my future wife can have 1/10 of Fairy Jishi, I'm satisfied. After the woman in green clothes appeared, such comments sounded in every corner of the street. Everyone looked at the woman in green clothes with reverence, admiration, and enthusiasm. Even when Hushi met Feng Lianying in King of Hell Mansion or 100 Herb Mist, those martial artists were not so enthusiastic about Feng Lianying. Just now, Fairy Jishi's junior sister apprentice Ren Shuling had just hurt the people on the strike and cast ice seal on the innocent. But when Fairy Jishi appeared, the people in Yangon City quickly forgot Ren Shuling's evil deeds. There was only blind worship. But the woman in green clothes named Lu Jishi seemed to have been accustomed to such scenes. There was neither arrogance nor reverence on her face. There was only a calm expression. At this time, Lu Jishi stood in front of Ren Shuling with a cold expression and a glamorous face. It was in stark contrast with Ren Shuling, whose face was bruised and swollen. It also made her skin look more snow-white, and her facial features looked bright and beautiful. As Lu Jishi heard the cry of junior sister apprentice, she nodded slightly toward the pinky girl. This girl, my junior sister apprentice, is a little arrogant and unruly, but not to the extent of killing her. Please forgive her. The pinky girl stared at Lu Jishi's face for a while, and she suddenly said heartlessly, "Big sister, you are so beautiful. Even more beautiful than my third senior sister. But why are you stopping me from hitting this ugly monster? She is a bad guy. She also wanted to kill me just now." Lu Jishi was startled. Before she could react, a maid wearing a green dress beside Jishi yelled at the pinky girl, "How dare you calling her big sister? Which village do you come from? You actually dare to be rude to my miss." Chapter 912. Accept your apology. The pinky girl was enraged hearing that. She put her hands on her waist and said angrily, "I'm rude? You're the rude one. Master said that little rabbit is the best behaved. You still call me a village girl. You are the village girl. Your whole family is village girls." The pinky girl pointed directly at the maid in green clothes and Ren Shuling, accusing them righteously. Hushi, who listened by the side, was amused by the cute little girl. Just now she thought she was funny, but she didn't expect that she could even master the popular language on the internet in her previous life. The maid in green clothes, who followed Lu Jishi, was always respected by others. When did she face such an accusation? Her facial expression changed drastically hearing that. Before she could do anything, Lu Jishi said with a solemn face, "Lu Yin, you are really getting more and more presumptuous. Quickly apologize to this girl." "Miss." Under Lu Jishi's icy gaze, the maid named Lu Yin had to apologize reluctantly. "Sorry, Lu Yin was rude just now." Lu Jishi also showed a kind expression toward the pinky girl. and she said softly, "Girl, if my junior sister apprentice has offended you, I apologize to you on her behalf. I hope you can forgive her." Hearing what Lu Zixi said so, Ren Shuling was immediately unwilling. She suddenly grabbed Lu Zixi hand and screamed, "Senior sister, why? Why don't you avenge me? You even want me to apologize to her, this bitch?" "Shut up." Lu Zixi's face turned gloomy suddenly, and she said coldly, "You went down the mountain without permission. I haven't settled this account with you yet. What's more, Daddy has ordered that we can't bully others when we are outside, but you are always domineering in this Yangon city. You even almost kill someone. Such a behavior, aren't you afraid that Daddy will punish you heavily?" When Ren Shuling heard Lu Zixi's words, she knew she was really angry. She didn't dare to say more. But she was still looking at the pinky girl with eyes full of resentment. She was even thinking of various ways to kill her. After Lu Zixi warned Ren Shuling, she didn't bother her anymore. Instead, she looked at the pinky girl. "Girl, are you willing to forgive my junior sister apprentice?" The pinky girl's chubby fist held her chin. After thinking for a while, she said, "Since you want to apologize for her, you can't just apologize to me. There are also those people who are onlookers who were hurt by your junior sister apprentice just now. You too should apologize to these people for her." Lu Zixi was taken aback for a moment. Her face turned a little unsightly for a while. Does this girl really know nothing, or does she deliberately humiliate me and make me apologize to the common citizen? Most of the onlookers were full of admiration for Fairy Zixi. How could they dare to accept any apology? They all waved their hands and said it was okay. When the pinky girl saw that everyone was not bothered by it anymore, she waved her hand and said, "Okay, then I accept your apology." Then she stopped looking at Lu Zixi and ran in Hushy's direction. "Mister, thank you for saving my life just now." The pinky girl blushed and looked at Hushy with misty eyes. Her eyes were sparkling. Hushy's senses toward the girl were really good. She only discovered later that the girl lacked the resistance to cute things. Seeing this girl's sincere eyes, she smiled and said, "It's just a simple task, don't worry about it." Chapter 9:13. Ugly monster. With this smile, the original handsome face suddenly looked like thousands of pear blossomed. Even the sun above couldn't be compared with such a gorgeous look. The look could directly make people faint. The pinky girl who was the closest was even more charmed. She mumbled, "Mister, you really look pretty, even more pretty than the beautiful fairy sister just now." As soon as the girl said this, Qing Wan, Bai Hu and others couldn't help but laughed unceremoniously. What a funny clown. Although she is telling the truth, haven't you seen that fairy sister is still there? Is it really good to just tell the truth in front of others? The onlookers heard the girl's voice and couldn't help but cast their gazes on Hushy's face, and many people took a deep breath. It was chaotic and thrilling just now, so no one noticed it. At this moment, the men and women in this party were so gorgeous and charming. Especially the boy who looked only 16 years old. His face was pretty and elegant. His snowy skin was even more transparent when exposed to the sun. It was a bit more beautiful than the best suet jade. Although the young girl's words devalued Fairy Zixi just now, at this moment, the young man really beat Fairy Zixi in terms of being pretty. What was even more surprising is that this boy was already outstanding enough, but the man in black standing next to him was not inferior to him. Especially many women, just looking at the man in black, their hearts couldn't help beating fast as if they were about to jump out of their chests. The handsomeness of the man in black was completely different from that of the young man. It was a kind of manliness and arrogance that exuded a majestic vibe from the inside out. It made people want to kneel under his feet, just by taking one look. Because of the pinky girl's words and the exclamation of everyone, Lu Zixi and Ren Shuling also looked over. When they saw Hushy's face, Ren Shuling was taken aback. She almost blurted out instantaneously, "Senior sister, that kid really looks better than you." Lu Zixi frowned slightly. Before she could speak, she listened to Lu Yin said with affirmation, "What's so proud of a man having such a look?" Humph, looking at his red lips and white teeth, and the appearance of a coquettish girly look, he isn't a good thing at first sight. Even dare to compare with our miss. Ren Shuling also remembered that this kid had just blocked her throwing knife, so she immediately nodded. Don't let me run into that bitch and this damn kid again. Otherwise I will teach them a good lesson. Lu Zhishi's gaze swept across Figh, and she frowned a little. When she looked at Nangongyu, she was taken aback. After a while, she looked away with a hint of trance in her eyes. Miss, I think that woman is too arrogant. Why don't we teach her a lesson to stop talking nonsense? Lu Zhishi did not nod or shook her head, but she slowly walked toward Figh and her party. When the pinky girl looked back and saw a few people, she immediately looked at Lu Zhishi strangely and said, "Didn't I already forgive you? Why aren't you leaving yet? What are you still doing here? I don't like talking to that ugly monster. You all can go now." Even Lu Zhishi was calm. She also couldn't help but be stunned hearing those words. Ren Shuling behind her looked even more distorted with anger. She said sharply, "Bitch, if you dare to say ugly monster one more time, I'll take your skin off." Chapter 9:14. Really interesting. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. The pinky girl snorted coldly. She took out a big mirror and held it in front of Ren Shuling. "You're an ugly monster. Ugly monster. Ugly monster. I'm telling the truth. Come and take my skin off if you dare." Ren Shuling saw her face in the mirror, and her entire body froze. In the mirror, the facial features of the person in the mirror were distorted. The face is full of bruises and swelling. The original facial features were somewhat uglier than the original bastard. Wah! Ren Shuling covered his face and ran away while crying. "Junior sister apprentice." Lu Zhishi shouted at her. Seeing Ren Shuling had run far away, she sighed. She looked back at the pinky girl and said, "Girl, as the saying goes, be easy on people. My junior sister apprentice has already been punished. Why should you be overbearing and humiliate her again?" When the audience heard Lu Zhishi's words, they also showed a reproach expression to the pinky girl. The pinky girl had always been a cute little girl who was loved by everyone. At this time everyone was looking at her with reproach, and she said with a flattened mouth and red eyes, "I'm not overbearing. Master said Little Rabbit is the most behaved. Little Rabbit never does bad things." Woo! Seeing her red eyes, Lu Zhishi said softly, "Girl, I don't want to blame you. It's just that you are still young, so you are still unclear of some reasons. I just don't want you to go astray. Fairy Zhishi is really interesting. Your junior sister apprentice went astray in the street, hurting the innocent, and sneak attacked. Isn't this not going astray? Your own junior sister apprentice has gone astray, but you don't care about it. Instead, you come to teach this little girl who has nothing to do with you?" The speaker's voice was clear and moving. The tone was calm, but every word made Fairy Zhishi's face look a little ugly. Lu Zhishi looked in the direction of the person who spoke, and Fig's beautiful face was reflected in her eyes, making her eyes flicker with a dark light. The pinky girl was overjoyed when she heard the words. She looked at Figh with teary eyes. She almost fell into her arms and cried. Lu Zhishi looked at Figh for a long while, but she couldn't help but move her eyes half an inch toward Nangongyu. She saw Nangongyu's gaze did not leave Figh for a moment, and he had different expressions occasionally. He was also frowning while looking at the pinky girl with caution. It was like nothing could gain his attention. Lu Zhishi frowned slightly. She thought in her mind, "Is this the rumored Royal Highness King of Hell? The man who was loved by Feng Lianying, the so-called first peerless genius of the Miluo continent? Now it seems that he is just an ordinary man." However, as she thought so, her gaze still couldn't help but drift to Nangongyu's face. This man has a face that can make any woman fall in love. But it is not enough for a man to be handsome. I'm not as ignorant and stupid as Feng Lianying. But why does this man not even look at me since the beginning? 1,000 thoughts in Lu Zhishi's mind happened, but her face was always cold and calm. When she raised her head to meet Figh's half-smile cold gaze, she said faintly with a slight smile, "Mister, I didn't intend to reprimand her by saying that. It was just a kind reminder. Why should Mister misunderstand me?" Chapter 9:15. Life-saving grace. Before Figh had spoken yet, the pinky girl had put her hands on her waist and said, "Then you have finished reminding now. What are you doing here? You can also go now." Lu Zhishi's mouth twitched. It took a while to suppress the change in her facial expression. She bowed slightly toward Nangongyu. No matter what identity you all are, but after all, we were the first to be rude. I'm here to say sorry on behalf of my junior sister apprentice." As she said, she looked at the Pinky girl and smiled lightly. "Girl, no matter what happened, my junior sister apprentice is wrong. To apologize if you have anything, within half a month, you can look for me at the City Lord's mansion. That's where I live temporarily. As long as Jishi can do it, I will definitely do it for you." After speaking, without waiting for the Pinky girl to speak, she left with her maid. Only the people of Yangon City on the street were left, looking at her back with admiration and eagerness. Fairy Jishi is as magnanimous as rumored. She is kind and benevolent. Look how the young man and the girl in pink clothes offended Fairy Jishi. She was not at all angry. "I didn't expect Fairy Jishi to live in our Yangon City for half a month. Doesn't it mean that we can see Fairy every day?" Everyone on the street was talking loudly, but the Pinky girl pouted and said unhappily, "I don't like this fairy sister anymore. She doesn't know have manner all. Master said when talking to people, you must look at them to show respect. But when she just talked to me, she always looked aside. She must be looking down on me, humph." Hushie was taken aback by the Pinky girl's words, and then she looked at the man next to her thoughtfully. The half-smile in her gaze had a deep meaning. Nangongyu was taken aback for a moment and said in a low voice, "Sheer, why do you look at me like this? Like I did something sorry to her?" Hushie pursed and snorted softly. A man who attracts bees and butterflies can simply fascinate a butterfly for a stroll. His Royal Highness King of Hell's charm is really unparalleled. Nangongyu was even more inexplicable. But looking at Hushie's proud and sly look, he felt itchy. He wished he could hold her in his arms now and be intimate. The Pinky girl finished talking about Lu Jishi, but looked at Hushie with bright eyes. "Mister, my name is Mo Xiaotu. It meant little rabbit. You can call me Tutu Rabbit Rabbit. Thank you for helping me today." Hushie laughed. "Mo Xiaotu, this name really suits this little girl. You have already thanked for the third time. As I said, don't worry about it." After that, she didn't bother about the little girl anymore. Now that the show was finished and their shopping was almost done, they decided to rest in a tea house. As they just chose a tea house and sat down in the private room, they saw Mo Xiaotu probed her head from the door, looking at Hushie eagerly and reluctantly. Hushie had to ask her in helplessly, then she asked, "Why do you keep following us? Didn't I tell you? It's just a simple task for helping you. You don't need to thank us anymore." "How can it be? You have a life-saving grace to me," Mo Xiaotu said while clenching her chubby fist. "I remember seeing your fellow apprentice told me that life-saving grace should be repaid by marrying me to the life-saving person. Mister, I have decided to your life-saving grace. From now on, Mo Xiaotu will belong to you." Chapter 9:17. You Perver. Nangongyu held her slender waist with one hand, and he gently grasped her hands with the other and pressed her hands against her chest. However, he looked provocatively at Mo Xiaotu and smiled. "Even you dare to come and steal my shear?" Mo Xiaotu widened her mouth in horror. She pointed his finger at Nangongyu and said stutteringly, You pervert. How can you do this?" Nangongyu sneered. "Hushie belongs to me, why can't I do this?" Mo Xiaotu jumped anxiously. "How can men be together? You pervert must have force, mister." Suddenly, her whole body was ejected like a cannonball. Nangongyu, who was surprised, pulled Hushie over and took a step back in a hurry. Mr. Shi, I can call you Mr. Shi, right? Mister, you can't be with this man. He is a pervert. Don't be afraid, if he forces you, I will protect you." At this time, the blush on Hushie's face hadn't faded yet. After hearing this girl's words, she couldn't help but laugh. "Little girl, you and I have no relationship. What do you protect me for?" "Because you are my life-saving person." And Mo Xiaotu blushed as she stared straight at Hushie. "And I really like you. I think I fell in love with you at first sight. I'm in love. I must marry you." As soon as Mo Xiaotu said this, there was a strange silence in the room. There seemed to be several crows croaking and flying by, who put a clenched fist on his lips, desperately stopping him from laughing. He looked at his master's expression that was filled with killing intent. If he really laughed out loud, he wouldn't be able to see the sun tomorrow. Even Bai who was insensitive, was scared, let alone other people. When Qing Wan first saw Mo Xiaotu, she thought she was in love with her master, and approached the master using the deter tactics like those women before. Not one or two women did this to Nan Gongyu in the entire Miluo continent. But Qing Wan didn't expect that Mo Xiaotu was not after His Royal Highness King of Hell, but her own princess. This plot is too strange, right? Although she admitted that her princess looked handsome in a man costume, she never thought her princess would even steal the limelight from her master. She tried her best to not laugh out loud. The only one who didn't know how to look at the atmosphere was Little Egg. Little Egg looked at Nan Gongyu and Mo Xiaotu at the same time. His pinky paw held his chin as he said with an embarrassed face, "Daddy is handsome, cool, and very powerful, but Sister Tutu is also very cute and strong. I like both of them so much. Mother, why don't you choose both of them?" Mo Xiaotu shook her head anxiously. No way, my master said. You have to be royal to one. Mister, you choose me. I'm much better than this pervert. Hushi was dumbfounded, but when she turned her head to see Nan Gongyu's expression, she was slightly startled. Nan Gongyu staring at his empty arms with a gloomy gaze. A cold smile could be seen at his mouth as if he was bloodthirsty and crazy. When he raised his head to look at Mo Xiaotu, the bloodthirsty smile even had a cold killing intent. Oh no, can Hushi still calm Nan Gongyu down? Chapter 9:18. Misunderstanding. Anyone who covets cheater should die. Hushi's eyes sank. She suddenly shrugged away Mo Xiaotu's hand, and said resolutely with a faint smile, "Sorry, I can't because I already have someone I like." After speaking, she walked quickly to Nan Gongyu. Before Nan Gongyu could react, she suddenly stretched out her hand to hook his neck, bent him slightly, then kissed him without hesitation. The man whom I love can only belong to me alone. No one is allowed to covet. No one is allowed to hurt. Since he is my man, so what if I show my dominance? When touching Hushi's soft lips and tongue, Nan Gongyu was stunned for a moment, but it was only a short pause. He immediately hugged the girl tightly in his arms and kissed deeply. Mo Xiaotu was astounded looking at the scene. She immediately shouted, No. Mister, don't be with this pervert." Seeing that Mo Xiaotu was about to rush to pull the two away, Qing Wan quickly moved forward and stopped in front of her. "This little girl is really tired of living. Didn't you see that my master was on the verge of exploding just now? If she rushes to disturb master now, she will be dismembered by master. Seeing that this little girl is so funny and mislikes her very much, it's better to save her life." Qing Wan pulled Mo Xiaotu aside and whispered, "Miss Mo, you misunderstood. My miss is not a man. She is just wearing a man costume, so that it is convenient for her to be in public. My miss and that mister love each other." What did you say?" Mo Xiaotu was so startled that she almost jumped up. She pointed at Hushi who had just finished kissing and yelled, "You said that he is a woman, how is this possible? He looks clearly so handsome, so manly, how can it be a woman? How can a woman have this kind of demeanor? You must be lying to me." Qing Wan covered her mouth and smiled. "Miss Mo, what should I lie to you? My miss has always been in a man costume in front of people, but she is indeed a genuine woman." Mo Xiaotu still looked in disbelief, and she muttered, Impossible. How come I like a person for the first time and it turns out to be a woman? How can I be so unlucky?" Hushi had already sat down with everyone at this time. The window of the private room opened, and everyone was drinking tea and eating snacks, while looking out the window and chatting. Little Egg, who was lying on the table eating the chicken leg specially prepared for him by Hushi, saw Mo Xiaotu standing aside with a crying expression, and he immediately handed out a chicken drumstick and said, "Sister Tutu, don't be sad. My mom is that popular. I've met several older brothers and sisters who confessed mom, and there is one pervert among them. All of them were driven away by me, Little Golden Dragon and Little Cow. Don't be sad, I'll treat you to chicken drumstick, okay?" Mo Xiaotu sniffed, took the chicken drumstick from Little Egg and took a bite. She widened her eyes as she said in shock, "It's delicious. How can it be so delicious? I have never eaten it at home before. Little pink pig, who made you this drumstick? Don't call me a little pink pig. My name is Little Egg. Little Egg protested angrily, then he raised his drumstick proudly. Of course, it is my super invincible and great mom. My mom is amazing. She can cook anything, and anything she cooks is delicious. Another one being slaved by the food. Chapter 9:19. What baby? Emo Xiaotu nibbled on the delicious drumstick. Then she burst into tears when she looked at Hushy's handsome face. Why, a handsome person who can cook great food isn't a man. I really want to marry this Mr. Shi. Little Egg saw that she was still depressed. He couldn't help but patted her hand and said sincerely, I suggest you not think about my mom. If you say you want to marry my mom again, my daddy might kill you. I'm not afraid of him. But having said that, Emo Xiaotu couldn't help shivering when she remembered Nan Gongyu's sinister cold gaze. Little Egg suddenly seemed to think of something, and he clapped his hands and smiled. Sister Tutu, since you can't like my mother, you might as well like my mom's younger brother. They are even twins, so they look alike. Emo Xiaotu looked at Little Egg while chewing on chicken legs, saying stupidly, Why should I like your mom's brother? Before she could finish her words, Little Egg had grabbed Xiaoqi's hand and asked her to look back. The young handsome boy was holding a cup of tea in his hand, and sipping it gently with a satisfied smile on his face. His eyes were shining with purple light like the most beautiful crystals and the dyed stars in the sky, representing the purest beauty in the world. Emo Xiaotu was stunned looking at the young boy's eyes, forgetting what she had just said. Hushy and Nan Gongyu sat on the side drank tea slowly, while listening to the other customers talking casually. It was easiest to collect news and inquire about the situation in this kind of place. Sure enough, after a while, Hushy heard useful conversation messages among the martial artists at the next table. Little junior brother, your foot was frostbitten just now by the thousands miles ice seal. Are you feeling better now? That Miss Run is too domineering. The man named Little junior brother immediately smiled nonchalantly. I'm fine. For such a minor injury, I'm already satisfied to be able to see Fairy Jishi's true face. That's right, Fairy Jishi is as noble, beautiful, generous and kind-hearted as rumored. You said why would Fairy Jishi come to a small place like our Yangon city? Fairy Jishi is the only daughter of the president of the Doctors Association, and it is said that she will even carry on the title of the president. You don't know this? Another person couldn't help but shook his head. Have you not seen the summoning order issued by the city lord a few days ago? It is said that the city lord's son is about to die, so the city lord has no way but to take out the treasure that has been passed down by his ancestors. He will give the treasure to anyone who saves his son. Fairy Jishi came to treat his son at the invitation of the city lord. When the city lord's son is cured, the treasure naturally belongs to Fairy Jishi. What treasure? It can even invite Fairy Jishi? I don't know this. It is said that it is a piece of jade that can be used for cultivating soul. Jishi's current level in doctor and pill refiner is already high. The strength of the soul is extremely important in the process of refining medicine and healing. She must be used that jade to improve her own cultivation. Hearing this, Hushy's hand holding the teacup slowly tightened. There was a nervous look on her face. A jade that can cultivate soul? I'm afraid even if it is not divine soul jade, it must have the same effect as divine soul jade. The news from Wugo is really true. There is indeed news of divine soul jade in the Yangon city. Little Egg isn't so dumb after all. He knows how terrifying his daddy could be. Will Fairy Jishi cure the city's lord's son? If she did, can Hushy still get the jade? Maybe through Little Rabbit's help. Chapter 9:20. Notice listening to their words. Have the city lord already given the jade to Fairy Jishi? If so, it will be troublesome. Seeing Hushy frowned, Nan Gongyu couldn't help but reach out and press on the back of her hand, saying softly to comfort, Don't worry, there will always be a way. It's better than getting no news. Maybe the jade is still available. What's more, even if it is taken away, as long as Sheer wants it, I will grab it for you even if I have to rob. Hushy couldn't help but smile at him, and she said in a low voice, You're king of hell, how come you are unruly like a bandit now? Nangongyu also smiled along. As he was about to speak, Gu Lufeng and Shen Qingchua came in suddenly. It turned out that not long after Shen Qingchua entered Yangon City, she wanted to go to a remote alley to buy some girls' accessories, but Hushi and others had to go to a crowded place to inquire about the news. So Shen Qingchua dragged Gu Lufeng to accompany her shopping. Although Gu Lufeng looked helpless, he was worried to let Shen Qingchua go to the remote alley alone. So he went with her in the end. The two only came back holding hands until now. As soon as the two entered the restaurant, everyone's ambiguous eyes couldn't help but fall on them. Baihu smacked his tongue and sighed. I remember this Yangon City is not too big. It takes only a few hours to go around twice. Brother Gu and Ms. Shen just went to buy an accessory, and you guys can they come back until now? Hee, are you afraid that we would disturb your intimate moment? You, what nonsense are you talking about? Shen Qingchua blushed, and she quickly retreated a few meters away from Gu Lufeng. Gu Lufeng coughed, and his face under the mask was slightly hot. He forcibly calmed himself and said, Brother Bai, don't talk nonsense. We came late because we found some news about Divine Soul Jade, so we went to inquire about it. Yeah. Shen Qingchua immediately echoed, then she ran to Hushi happily and handed her a piece of paper. Sister Shiyu, look, this is what we saw on the West Market bulletin board. Hushi took the paper and took a look. It was actually a notice. The content of the notice was similar to the content discussed by the few people just downstairs. The general meaning was that the city lord's son was sick, so he was recruiting people to treat his son. If his son was cured, the city lord would give his family treasure, Divine Soul Jade, as a reward. Hushi raised her eyebrow and said, Is this notice still posted now? Shen Qingchua nodded repeatedly and said, I went to inquire about it with Brother Lufeng. This notice is still posted, but almost no one bothers about it now. It seems that a very powerful person has come. Sister Shiyu, let's go. While the notice is still posted and there are still people at the registration office, we should hurry up to apply. Maybe it's not too late yet. A smile appeared on Hushi's face, and she gently patted Shen Qingchua's hand and said, Okay, let's go now. Qingchua, thank you and Lufeng for bringing such a good news. Shen Qingchua was so happy that her face blushed after receiving a rare compliment from Hushi. She happily jumped to Gu Liufeng's side like a butterfly. However, she immediately thought of something. She bared her teeth at Baihu. See? Brother Lufeng and I are not strolling around for fun. We are helping out. It's really Divine Soul Jade. What is the disease that even Divine Soul Jade is used as a reward? Chapter 921. Can you let me follow? Baihu touched his chin and said with a smile. I remember when you were in Yanjing. You still called him by the surname Gu. How come it became Brother Lufeng when you two went out together? It's so intimate. You. This time, Shen Qingchua's face was completely red. Gu Lufeng also gave a low cough, lowered his head in embarrassment and changed the subject. Shiyu, time is running out, let's hurry up. Hushi smiled and nodded without teasing the two people. She got up to pay the bill and left. But just after 2 steps, she found that Mo Xiaotu had followed up again. Hushi stopped her and said, Miss Mo, what happened just now has been explained clearly. You should go home early. Don't follow us anymore. The little girl looked very young and inexperienced. It wasn't really safe for her to wander outside alone. Mo Xiaotu immediately blushed with tears. Sister Shiyu, Little Rabbit was kicked out by Master, and he said that if I can't find the person he wanted me to find, he won't let me return. Little Rabbit is so pity and homeless. Sister Shiyu, can you let me follow you? Before Hushi had time to say anything, Nangongyu had already said ghastly with a cold face. No. Mo Xiaotu glared back at Nangongyu without showing any weakness. I'm asking Sister Shiyu, not you. Bad guy. Nangongyu sneered. With a tap of his finger, a lightning was cast with a crackling sound, making Mo Xiaotu backing off in horror. This lightning seemed simple, but it seemed to have built a high lightning wall that blocked Mo Xiaotu from crossing the line. Nangongyu sneered. You want to follow Shi? Okay, try and follow if you are capable. Mo Xiaotu was dumbfounded immediately. She hurriedly walked around on the other side of the lightning wall. Seeing that Mo Xiaotu was blocked, Nangongyu was in a good mood. He hugged Hushi and said, "Let's go." Hushi glared at him. "Nangongyu, why are you being serious with a kid? What's more, doesn't she already know that I'm a woman?" Nangongyu smirked. Before he could speak, he suddenly heard Mo Xiaotu's shout from behind. Immediately afterward, a burst of crackling noise. A figure rushed out desperately from the lightning wall. The white and tender little girl who was originally wearing a pink gauze skirt, after the baptism of the lightning, her whole body was burnt. Even her hair stood up. She looked really embarrassed and funny. Bai Hu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Mo Xiaotu flattened her mouth. Tears were trembling in her eyes as she stared at Nangongyu angrily. "I followed through. I won't be defeated by you, bad guy. I'm going to follow Sister Shiyu." However, a moment ago, she was clenching her fist with indignation. The next moment, seeing Xiaoqi looking at her embarrassed look with his clear eyes, she covered her face and cried out loud. "Whoa, why am I so ugly? You are not allowed to look at me. You're not allowed to look at me. Riddle Rabbit is obviously very cute, whoa." At this time, even Nangongyu was a little dumbfounded. Xiaoqi tilted his head in doubt, leaned close to her, and circled her around. Then he looked at Hushi, pointed at her and said, "Sister, cry." Hushi sighed. Then she released water spiritual power to clean up the burned little girl instantly. Shin Qingchua took out her new clothes and asked Mo Xiaotu to put on them. Would Little Rabbit be disappointed after knowing Xiaoqi's intelligence is like a kid? Chapter 922. Kill two birds with one stone. Only when Mo Xiaotu came out with a new look and saw Xiaoqi smiling at her, she smiled again. She came near to Xiaoqi while spinning her skirt. "Your name is Xiaoqi, right? Can I call you Brother Xiaoqi? Brother Xiaoqi, do you think my new dress looks good?" Xiaoqi tilted his head, smiled at her stupidly, turned his head and continued to play with Xiaoli. Mo Xiaotu was instantly discouraged, and Little Egg approached her and said, "Brother Xiaoqi is sick, so he can't speak. Sometimes, even we can't understand what he is talking about." Mom came to Yangon City this time to cure Xiaoqi's brother. When Mo Xiaotu heard it, her eyes widened. She clenched her fist and said, "Cure the disease? Then I have to help. Little Egg, you are so kind. You are willing to tell me everything." Little Egg likes to be praised the most, and he wasn't praised for his cuteness, so he immediately wailed with excitement. Mo Xiaotu was also introduced to Little Golden Dragon, Little Dumb Cow and Xiaoli. Mo Xiaotu had a bright personality, and she especially liked cute things. It didn't take long for her to get along with a few little guys. Even Ziming Yuluo allowed her to grab her vine and swung her high in the sky. In the end, she ran up to Hushi and said pitifully, "Sister Shiyu, I'm very powerful and I don't eat much. So let me follow you, okay?" Hushi glanced at Xiaoqi thoughtfully, and she saw that he was also looking over. His clear eyes were full of happy smiles. She couldn't help being moved in her mind. She nodded. "Okay, then you just follow. However, don't cause trouble. Don't try to probe identity. Don't expose my identity as a woman outside. Can you do it?" "Yes. Yes. Of course I can do it." Mo Xiaotu jumped 3 feet high in excitement. Then she happily returned to Little Egg and the others. "Brother Xiaoqi, Little Egg, have you heard that? Sister Shiyu allowed me to stay. It's so great. I can always play with you in the future." Hushi looked at her childish back, shook her head and laughed. She turned her head and met Nangongyu's thoughtful gaze, and she couldn't help but smile. "Finally, you are done being serious with the little girl?" Nangongyu scratched the tip of her nose and snorted coldly. "Isn't it Shear's fault? How can I not watch you closely? As for this Mo Xiaotu, if she can pester Xiaoqi and let Xiaoqi not bother me and Hushi, it will hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Alright, I will just reluctantly let the little girl stay." Thinking of this, Nangongyu showed a satisfied smile on his face. He put his arm around Hushi's waist and said, "Walk through the corner in front. Then we have reached the West Market." Sure enough, turning around the corner, Hushi quickly saw the place where the notices were posted by the city lord. It was just that at this time some people wearing Yangon City Guard costumes were tearing off the notices from the bulletin on the city wall. At the registration office, it seemed that they weren't looking for doctors anymore. Seeing this, Bai Hu quickly took a step forward and took out the notice brought by Shin Qingchua and said, "We are here to sign up." At the registration office were a few men in their 30s, wearing the costume of the city guard. Hearing Bai Hu's words, one of them immediately shook his head and said, "The registration is over. Just leave." "It's over." Bai Hu frowned. "The notice clearly states that it will end tomorrow, isn't it? Has the disease been cured?" Chapter 923. No longer accept registration. When the man saw Bai Hu asking more, he couldn't help but impatiently said, "The city lord posted a notice to find someone who can save our young city lord. Now that the person has been found, what is the need for the notice?" Seeing Bai Hu still looked unwilling to give up and seeing him at high cultivation, he didn't dare to offend easily. Another guard on the side walked forward and said, "Have you heard of Fairy Jishi? She is a well-spoken 6th-grade doctor from the Doctors Association, and even a pill refiner mazer. She has come to Yangon City today, and she has already had a preliminary diagnosis of our young city lord. She said that she is sure to cure the disease." Since Fairy Jishi said so, why do we still need the notice? Of course, we won't accept any more registration. Do you understand now? Why is it Fairy Jishi again? Did she really cure the disease? Bai Hu looked behind him and looked at Hushi and Nangongyu, then frowned. "Are you so sure that Fairy Jishi can cure your young city lord's disease? It is said that your young city lord's disease has been around for more than 10 years, so long. Haven't your city lord ever hired a 6th-ranked doctor before? Have those people cured your young city lord's illness?" These guards really hesitated when they heard the words. This man is right. City Lord had invited a 7th-ranked doctor and an elder from the Doctors Association, but they were still helpless with the disease. What if this Fairy Jishi really can't cure it? No. Impossible. That's Fairy Jishi. And Fairy Jishi herself said that she can cure young city lord's disease. If I rashly bring people over, if I annoy Fairy Jishi, how can I deal with it? Thinking of this, the guard immediately showed a contemptuous expression. He looked up and down Bai Hu and said, "Are you going to treat our young city lord's disease? Even if Fairy Jishi can't cure it, is it that you are better than Fairy Jishi?" Bai Hu was also a little annoyed for a while. He coldly slapped the notice on the table and crossed his arms. "It is not me who is going to treat the disease, it is my young master. My young master's medical skills are unparalleled in this world. We are giving you face to cure your young city lord. You said Fairy Jishi is great, but what if she can't cure your young city lord and your master got to know that you reject the one who can truly treat his son? Can you shoulder the responsibilities?" The guard was anxious hearing that. Then he took a look at them. They were really handsome men and pretty women, but none of them looked like an experienced doctor. He suddenly sneered. "I have seen a lot of big talkers in the past few days, and each of them had boasted about their godly medical skills. But when they saw our young city lord, they were helpless and sneaked away like a turtle. You said that your young master is even greater than Fairy Jishi's medical skills. Then tell me, what rank is your young master? What level is he as a pill refiner?" The atmosphere was tense for a while. Bai Hu was about to get angry when he suddenly heard an old voice on the side saying solemnly, "What's the matter? Didn't I ask you to quietly put away the notice?" In the cabin behind the registration point, a middle man with a white face, long white hair and no beard walked out slowly. When everyone saw this person, they immediately showed a respectful look. Chapter 924. No rank. The guards even bowed to him nervously. "Master Yuehua, why are you here? Don't worry, it's just a small matter. We will take care of it." This Master Yuehua was a 4th-ranked doctor and a good friend of Yangon City's lord. This time, he came to screen the doctors who applied for the recruitment notice. After all, many of the doctors who came to apply for the recruitment were just trying their luck. If they were asked to prescribe any medicine for the city lord's son, then the city lord's son might not be able to survive until today. His rank in doctor and pill refiner of this person was not high in rank, but his prestige in the Tsongming kingdom, especially in Yangon City, was extremely high. Shin Qingchua secretly said to Hushi, "Sister Shiyu, I heard from my grandfather that this Master Yuehua is a very good person, although his cultivation and doctor rank are not high. 10 years ago, a plague happened in Yangon City and many people died. Later, the plague even spread to other cities and towns. Later, thanks to Master Yuehua wandering around the cities to cure the infected one. In the end, he found an elixir that can cure the plague, but he was sick for a long time due to overworking himself. After Hushi listened, she thoughtfully looked up and down the face and aura of Master Yuehua, and she seemed to understand something. Master Yuehua listened to the guard's words, took a look at Bai Hu and the notice handwriting, and then said, "You want to sign up to treat the young city lord?" Bai Hu hurriedly said, "Yes. This notice says that the recruitment will end tomorrow. Anyone with superior medical skills can try it, but today I found that it was just a lie." Master Yuehua shook his head and smiled. "That isn't true, mister. The notice also stated that once a doctor who can treat the young city lord is found, the notice will be ineffective immediately. Now that Fairy Jishi is willing to treat the young city lord, we cancel the notice. How can this be a lie?" Bai Hu put his hands around his chest with a half-smile. "Master Yuehua, can you guarantee that Fairy Jishi will be able to cure the disease of the young city lord?" This, like the two guards just now, Master Yuehua also hesitated, thinking of the strange disease of his nephew, the suffering he suffered, and the helplessness of so many doctors. Master Yuehua suddenly felt that it would be good if there was more helper. As a result, his complexion softened a bit. He looked behind Bai Hu and said, "I don't know who among you wants to sign up?" The spiritual power circulating in Bai Hu was biased toward fierce combat, so he clearly had nothing to do with the doctor. Hushi slowly took a step forward after hearing this. "It's me." As soon as Hushi said this, Master Yuehua suddenly showed a disappointed look. The boy in front of him was only 16 years old. He looked very handsome, like a pampered young man of a noble family instead of a doctor. With this age and this kind of appearance, even if he has some medical skills, how good can it be? Master Yuehua thought so, but he didn't show it on his face. Instead, he asked in a gentle voice, "This little boy, what is your doctor rank? What is your level of the pill refiner? Do you belong to any faction?" Hushi shook her head calmly. "I don't have any rank and I don't belong to any faction." Can Hushi convince Master Yuehua with her medical skills? Chapter 925. Utterly shocked. "You don't have a rank and you still dare to register. Are you insane?" The person next to him just now dared to say that he is on par with Fairy Jishi. This is simply overreaching himself. The guard on the side who had been arguing with Bai Hu couldn't help but sneered and said, "Haha, I thought he was a big shot. Even dares to compare himself with Fairy Jishi. It turns out that he doesn't even have a doctor rank. Even if you want to earn money in our Yangon city, you don't have to be so shameless, right?" Bai Hu and the others raised their eyebrows when they heard the anger, and they wanted to immediately take a shot and give the guard a severe lesson. But he was stopped by Hushi. Master Yuehua also said coldly with a solemn face, "Young man, this is a matter of life and death. How can you take it so lightly? Since you have no rank, why do you show up here and say that you can cure the young city lord?" Hushi raised her eyebrows and said with a spurious smile, "A person who has no rank can't treat people? Then there are so many doctors in the Doctors Association. Has anyone treated the strange disease on Master Yuehua?" "What?" With just this sentence, Master Yuehua's expression suddenly changed. "Master, what do you mean by this?" Hushi looked up and down at him. Then she smiled and said with a voice transmission, "Master hasn't been refining pill for a long time, right? Since then, your doctor rank has not improved as well, right?" Master Yuehua was really surprised this time and almost jumped up. "You? How did you know? Who did you hear from? Who are you?" Hushi's eyes flickered, and she continued to speak with voice transmission. "The upper burner vein is blocked. The middle burner is insufficient of yang. The lower burner has yin fire. The spiritual power collapses and cannot condense. You can't maintain the spiritual fire for a long time, so you naturally can't refine pill. I can tell these just by seeing Master's face. Do I still need someone else to tell me that?" Master Yuehua's mouth widened, and he couldn't say a word for a long time. He didn't understand what upper burner, middle burner, and lower burner that Hushi said in the first half of the sentence, but her second half of the sentence described his current illness without any mistake. His spiritual power was broken, and he was unable to maintain spiritual fire to refine pill. However, my symptoms, even the 8th-ranked doctor of the Doctors Association, can barely determine after careful examination with spiritual power. This young man actually knew only by looking at my face this. How is this possible? Seeing Master Yuehua's uncertain face, Hushi knew he was obviously taken aback. She couldn't help but smiled, took out a medicinal pill from the void and handed it to Master Yuehua. You can try to take this medicinal pill, then try and go to refine pill. Although it can't eradicate your illness for the time being, it should help you a bit. Master Yuehua took the medicinal pill with hesitation. After observing carefully, he found that the pure aura emitted by this medicinal pill was unprecedented in his life. There was a flash of light in his eyes. He put the medicinal pill away before saying humbly, "Thank you, mister, for giving me the medicine. May I know mister's name?" Hushi still used the method of voice transmission to say 2 words slowly, "Shiyu." "Ah!" Master Yuehua exclaimed. He was looking at Shiyu with shock instead of the previous doubt. You are the miracle healer Shiyu who found the Shengda Hall, sells the best quality pill, and can even connect broken limbs. Hushi nodded and intercepted Master Yuehua's words, then she smiled and said, "I don't know if I'm still eligible to sign up." Chapter 926. Moved into the City Lord's mansion this. Yes. Of course you are eligible. Master Yuehua nodded without hesitation. If Mr. is not eligible, no one will be eligible nowadays. What's more, I have just learned Mr.'s magical medical skills just now. However, the specific matters need to be determined by the City Lord. Please follow me to stay in the City Lord's mansion. I will tell you the result after I report to the City Lord. Master Yuehua's remarks caused a greater uproar among the audience. In order not to disclose her identity, Hushi used voice transmission to diagnose Master Yuehua and tell her name. So in the eyes of the audience, Master Yuehua was shocked when he saw the young man. Then he said that he would take him to the City Lord's mansion. The young City Lord's illness will obviously be treated by Fairy Jishi. Why Master Yuehua still approved this young man's registration? Could it be that there are some secrets between this young man and Master Yuehua? Master Yuehua didn't care about everyone's reactions, and he led, with a look of awe, Hushi and her party to the backyard of the City Lord's mansion. For this doctor recruitment event, the City Lord deliberately vacated a courtyard for the doctors who came to sign up. This yard was luxuriously decorated, the view was pleasant, and the space was even greater. It was just that it was empty now. Except for the servants who were cleaning up and down, there was no one inside. Master Yuehua explained warmly. Originally, there were many doctors in this courtyard. They would discuss and summarize the young City Lord's condition in this courtyard every day. It's just that since Fairy Jishi came, these doctors thought they were inferior and left. That's why this courtyard is so empty now. In fact, Master Yuehua didn't say that all the doctors in this courtyard didn't intend to leave initially. Although Fairy Jishi was well known, she was only a little girl in her early 20s. Many doctors had more experience than her. Originally, they wanted to discuss with Fairy Jishi. Who knows, this Fairy Jishi's junior sister apprentice Ren Shuling was extremely arrogant and domineering. She laughed at all the doctors and said that they were overreaching themselves for staying here. They just wanted to wait until Fairy Jishi treated the young City Lord. Then they would get some benefits. Those old doctors who could be recruited by the City Lord. Which one of them was not prestigious and proud? After being humiliated by Ren Shuling, who will live? Who is embarrassed to live? But this Ren Shuling is the daughter of the former City Lord of Yangon City. He is so powerful in Yangon City that even the current City Lord dare not discipline her. What? Since those doctors suffered so much humiliation, they of course all left in indignation in the end. Now this Mr. She is staying in, if he meets Ren Shuling, what will the result be? Thinking of this, Master Yuehua couldn't help but frown. Master Yuehua found a manservant to lead Hushi and the others to settle in a room while he himself went to the study room where the city lord's office was located to explain it to him. It was just that Master Yuehua would never think that the thing he worried about happened right when the manservant brought Hushi and her party to their room. They met Ren Shuling in the courtyard. Ren Shuling's swollen nose and swollen face were already much better under Fairy Jishi's treatment than in the morning, but there was still a bulge on her forehead. Her left and right faces looked a little asymmetrical. It will be Ren Shuling's time to run away this time. Chapter 927. The world is so small originally. She suffered a grievance that she couldn't express. She hated the Emo Xiaotu who made her miserable and Hushi and others who rescued Emo Xiaotu halfway through. Who knew that as soon as she returned to the yard, she saw this group of people and screamed immediately. Why are you here? The manservant who led Hushi and the others immediately bowed and said, reporting to Miss Ren, they were invited by Master Yuehua to treat the young city lord. What are you talking about? Ren Shuling was furious when she heard the words. Isn't my senior sister already promised to help you in treating the young city lord? Why do you want to invite others? Are you looking down on my senior sister? You even invite a group of lowly citizens? Do you believe I will demolish your courtyard now? Emo Xiaotu said angrily. You're really rude. Always yelling like a shrew. You even scold us as lowly citizens? You are the lowliest person. Go and demolish the courtyard if you dare. Do you believe I will beat you up? As she spoke, she waved the pair of chubby fists. Ren Shuling still remembered the taste of Emo Xiaotu's fist, so she backed off a few steps hearing that. She said in a trembling tone. This is in the city lord's mansion, you. How dare you? Emo Xiaotu clenched her fist and took a step forward. Do you think I don't dare? Ren Shuling remembered being beaten by this girl in the morning, and she suddenly screamed in fright. She slapped her maid beside her face and shouted hysterically. Have you not seen how these people treat me? Why don't you tell the city lord hurriedly? If the city lord looks down on us, then senior sister and I will leave. If you still want my senior sister to treat your young city lord, then get them out of here now. The maid was originally assigned to serve her in the city lord's mansion, so she was always bullied by Ren Shuling. At this time, she was slapped until she couldn't stand still. Half of her face was swollen. However, thinking of the city lord's instructions, she did not dare to retort. She covered her face and said in a sobbing tone, I will report to the city lord now. As soon as the maid left, Ren Shuling's face turned pale as she saw Emo Xiaotu trying hard to hold back her smile. She quickly held a magic weapon in her hand. As she was about to say a few ruthless words, she suddenly heard a man's voice behind her. Shuling, so you are here, you are really hard to find. When Ren Shuling heard the man's voice, she was overjoyed and quickly turned around and said, Cousin, it's great that you are here. She said with a sobbing tone as if she had suffered endless grievances. At the gate of the courtyard, a young man in his 20s appeared. He was handsome, but his figure was a little thin. He was dressed in a snow-white robe with a fan in his hand. What's the matter? The man in a white robe shook his fan as if he was making a joke. Could it be that in this Yangon city, there are still people who dare to make cousin suffer a grievance? Shuling rushed over and took his hand, pointing at Emo Xiaotu, Hushi and the others angrily. Cousin, if you don't come here soon, Shuling will be bullied to death by these people. Look at my face. It was them who beat me up in the morning. The man in a white robe looked at the wound on Shueling's face, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. The injury is real. My unruly cousin really didn't lie. Even if more cousins come, they can't save you, Ren Shuling. Chapter 928. I just don't believe it. He looked in the direction of Hushi and others. He saw that the men were handsome and the women were charming. Their cultivation wasn't not low either. Among them, the unparalleled handsome man in black made him a kind of horror. A feeling of. Obviously, they were not easy to mess with. The man in a white robe put away the fan, slightly cupped his fist and smiled. I'm Li Zhenyu, the sword-holding elder of the Yunlan sect. My cousin Shuling has always been arrogant and self-willed, so please forgive her. Yunlan sect. Shen Qingchua repeated it in a slightly surprised voice. Seeing Hushi's inquiring gaze, she quickly stepped forward and explained. Sister Shiyu, Yunlan sect is the sect of the Tiangang kingdom second only to Qingxia sect. Although the strength and number of the Yunlan sect can't be compared with Qingxia sect, the relationship between the Yunlan sect and the Doctors Association is very good. So sometimes in the big competition in the Tiangang kingdom, they will get medicinal pills with strong effect from the Doctors Association to temporarily increase their combat power, and win against our Qingxia sect occasionally. When Shen Qingchua said this, she couldn't help frowning angrily. Then she continued, the sword-holding elder of the Yunlan sect must at least be at the gold core stage later stage, and the person must have extremely high attainments in swordsmanship. I'm not quite clear about Yunlan sect, but it seems that they did have a new sword-holding elder a few years ago. Hushi nodded, indicating that she understood. But Li Zhenyu, who was dressed in white, couldn't get a reply after speaking. He couldn't help but straighten up and smiled. May I know the reason for you guys to be at the Yangon city? Cousin, why are you so polite to these bastards? They came to fight against my senior sister Zhishi. Rin Shuoling's yelling made Li Zhenyu's expression slightly startled. Then his eyes darkened a bit. He raised his eyebrow and gently tapped his palm with the fan handle. You guys are here to trouble Zhishi? The manservant who brought in Hushi and others hurriedly stepped forward and said, Mr. Li, these doctors brought by Master Yuehua to treat the young city lord. Before Li Zhenyu finished speaking, Rin Shuoling said angrily, with my senior sister, why do you need these insignificant doctors for? Is Master Yuehua looking down on my senior sister? The manservant suddenly sweated profusely on his forehead. He said quickly, no, really not. Master Yuehua just hopes to increase the possibility of healing the young city lord. This time, even Li Zhenyu's face was darkened. He squinted. Zhishi's medical skills are well known by the entire Miluo continent. Originally, as the lord of Yangon City, even with divine soul jade as the reward, he might not be able to invite her. But now she is willing to treat Xiaotian. That is the blessing of Yangon City, and also the blessing of Xiaotian. You recruited other doctors to come in. Is it because you don't believe in Zhishi's medical skills? No, absolutely not. Fairy Zhishi's medical skills are superb and kind-hearted. How can we doubt it? Master Yuehua is just. The sweat dripped from the manservant's forehead as he stuttered in his words. Mo Xiaotu would just let people bully her, so she immediately stepped forward and said straightforwardly, we just don't believe in that fairy Zhishi. Because she hasn't cured people now. My master said that anything that hasn't happened yet, you can't be 100% sure of the result. Do you dare to say that the fairy sister can definitely cure the young city lord's illness? Nice one, little rabbit. Now, will they shut up or this will end up in a fight? Chapter 929. I'm afraid of snakes. Li Zhenyu was taken aback for a moment. No one could guarantee things like this. If he said it would be cured, it would give people a subject for ridicule. His face looked unsightly right away. The little girl in front really doesn't know how to speak properly. Mo Xiaotu saw that he was speechless, thinking that she was good at eloquence. She showed a triumphant smile. Our brother Shiyu's medical skills are also very good. Since we are all saving people, and you said that Sister Fairy is kind-hearted, why don't you let Brother Shiyu treat the disease with her? Is it because she is afraid that she will lose face if Brother Shiyu cures the patient, but she can't? Mo Xiaotu's words made Li Zhenyu's face immediately sullen. Little girl, you can't talk nonsense. If you continue to speak so unscrupulously and slander Zhishi, I can only ask you all to leave here by force. How am I talking nonsense? Mo Xiaotu's eyes widened, and her face was full of resentment. Which sentence I said is not the truth? Why do you want to chase us out? What's more, we are invited by Master Yuehua. Who are you to chase us out? Seeing that you look like a decent human, I thought you were a good person. It turns out that you, like that ugly woman, are also a bad person who bullies others. Ren Shuling heard her calling herself an ugly monster again. Then she remembered the beating and humiliation she had received in the morning. Suddenly, new hatred and old hatred surged in her mind. She screamed, Cousin, why are you still talking with them? I will definitely teach them a lesson today. As she said, she flew up with a flying sword with ice crystals in her hand. How could Emo Xiaotu be afraid of the loser Ren Shuling? Seeing the flying sword stabbed at her, she stretched out her hand and firmly grasped the sharp blade without any fancy move. It seems that I haven't taught you enough lesson in the morning. Okay, then I will teach you how to not be a bad guy again. Emo Xiaotu held the blade and was about to lift Ren Shuling up and throw her out. Suddenly, when her wrist was tightened, there was something strange wrapped around her wrist. It was cool, slippery, covered with scales, and it was even creeping. Emo Xiaotu pulled her wrist curiously and looked forward. When she saw clearly what was wrapped around her hand, she suddenly screamed, "Snake! It's a snake!" Wah! I'm afraid of snakes. Little rabbit fears snake the most. Woo brother Shiyu save me, Xiaoqi save me. It turned out that the head of a snake was wrapped around Emo Xiaotu's hand. At this moment, the triangular head of the snake was raised high, breathing out snake breathe at Emo Xiaotu. The pair of small eyes emitted a dark light. The body of the snake was extremely long, but the other end was held in Li Jianyu's hand. The silver snake tail was still coiled several times on his arm. Li Jianyu was gently stroking the body of the snake at this time, saying coldly, "Girl, I see that you are young, so I won't trouble you. If you apologize to Jishi and Shuling right now, I will spare you. Otherwise, if you are bitten by the golden ring silver-tailed snake, even if you have high cultivation, you will only die of poison." Ren Shuling saw that Emo Xiaotu's jumping and crying, and she suddenly felt very relieved. She clapped her hands and laughed and said, "Cousin is still amazing. Are you very arrogant? Cousin, let this snake bite her, hurry up." This bitch said in the morning that senior sister did not look good. She even slandered senior sister as a bad guy for indulging my arrogance. Cousin, you must not let her go. I hope they have already chosen their coffin and the place to bury themselves. Chapter 930. Try it yourself. When Li Jianyu heard these words of Ren Shuling, his face became more gloomy. He sneered, "Since you have been so disrespectful to Jishi, then don't blame me for being impolite." The snake head that was originally wrapped around Emo Xiaotu's arm immediately sprang up and rushed toward Emo Xiaotu's neck fiercely. "Dash! Help me!" Emo Xiaotu let out a scream and closed her eyes while crying. However, after waiting for a long time, the horrible, cold and slippery pain expected did not come. Emo Xiaotu opened her eyes cautiously. She saw that the snake that had just pounced on her had already been rolling on the ground in pain. Moreover, as the snake was rolling, half of its body seemed to have been corroded by something and broke apart. Li Jianyu grabbed the remaining half of the snake's tail in his hand and looked down at the broken golden ring silver-tailed snake with shock. He glanced around, finally set his gaze on Hushi. He sounded afraid. "Who are you exactly?" "Although my golden ring silver-tailed snake is not strong in attack, it is a rank 4 magical beast. This golden ring silver-tailed snake is even refined with special medicines. Even high-level magic weapons may not be able to cut it off. Now this young man can simply cut it off with a wave of his hand?" Hushi smiled slightly and threw a glance at Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi rushed out excitedly, grabbed the broken snake head, and ran toward Hushi while dragging it. Emo Xiaotu, who had just been frightened, finally recovered from the shock at this time. As she saw Xiaoqi, she pounced on him and cried out immediately, "Whoa, I'm most afraid of snake. I hate it. I hate it." Xiaoqi was stunned by being hugged by Emo Xiaotu. It took a long time before he pushed her away. Then he eagerly dragged the snake to Hushi's side and handed it to her. The pair of purple eyes were shining as if they were eager for praise and affirmation. Together with his handsome face, he looked particularly cute. Hushi reached out and touched his head, took the snake, and whispered, "Xiaoqi, good boy." After speaking, Hushi looked at Li Jianyu ahead, and her voice suddenly turned cold. "Elderly is really so bold and capable. You actually use a vicious golden ring silver-tailed snake to deal with a little girl." Li Jianyu frowned and said, "You killed Silvertail just now? How did you do it?" The smile on the corner of Hushi's mouth became colder. She suddenly pinched the head of the golden ring silver-tail snake and squeezed it hard. Suddenly, The venom of the venomous cyst was slowly squeezed out by her. At this moment, Li Jianyu finally showed a look of astonishment in his eyes. He watched Hushi caught the drop of venom with her hand. That is the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake. If it touches the skin, it will burn and corrode. Even magic weapon will be corroded. This young man actually catches it with his hand. After Hushi caught the drop of venom, she smiled slightly and said, "Since you like to use poison so much, why not try the poison you use?" After speaking, the venom in her hand suddenly scattered, flying toward Ren Shuiling and Li Jianyu. At the same moment, the council chamber of the city lord's mansion. The current city lord of Yangon City was named Zhuge Feng, who was a powerhouse at the intermediate stage of the gold core stage. In his early years, he worked as a manager in the outside office of the Doctors Association. He had some friendships with some of the elders in the Doctors Association. "Rip, will Fairy Jishi come out and cure the poison?" Chapter 931. What is his name? After he was over 80 years old, Zhuge Feng realized that his cultivation might be difficult to make progress, so he married and had children. He gave birth to an only child named Zhuge Xiaotian. Zhuge Xiaotian's talent was much better than that of Zhuge Feng. He broke through the meridian stage when he was only in his early 20s. Now in just a few years, he was already at the peak of the meridian stage before 30 years old. If his son could reach the gold core stage before the age of 40, his future prospects would far surpass him. But suddenly one day, when his son came back from a secret realm, he suddenly fell ill with a strange disease. From then on, not to mention the improvement of his cultivation base, even living a normal life had become an extravagant hope. During this period of time, Zhuge Feng tried his best to treat his son. He even invited one of the elders of the Doctors Association, but in the end everyone was helpless. But fortunately, now Fairy Jishi was here. After seeing Zhuge Xiaotian's condition, Fairy Jishi said that it could be cured, which made Zhuge Feng's anxiety mood improved a bit over the past few days. At this moment, he heard the report from his subordinate that Master Yuehua was requesting to see him. As soon as Master Yuehua saw Zhuge Feng, he explained his intentions. "Brother Zhuge, I hired a doctor who applied for the recruitment order in the West Market today." As soon as this statement came out, Zhuge Feng was taken aback. If Master Yuehua said this a few days ago, he would definitely ask him with joy. After all, more doctors meant more hopes to cure it. But now, Zhuge Feng frowned and said, "Brother Yuehua, you also know that Fairy Jishi has a way to cure Xiaotian now. If we still hire a doctor and annoy Fairy Jishi, which makes her refuse to treat Xiaotian, what should we do then?" Master Yuehua nodded when he heard the words. "I originally thought so. But when I met this person, he pointed out the fact that I have not been able to pill refining for many years." "What?" Zhuge Feng asked in surprise. "Could it be that he has heard about you?" Master Yuehua smiled bitterly. "Brother Zhuge, you know my situation. Ever since I have that strange disease, I have been staying at home. Everyone thought I was ill. Only your closest brothers know about my true situation. I never believed that you will reveal my illness, not to mention the doctor who treated me. Moreover, this doctor didn't even check my body with spiritual power. He just looked at my face and told the fact that I can't pill refining and condense my spiritual power into spiritual fire." Zhuge Feng was really surprised at this moment. He said in disbelief, "This person is really so good? Then what is his doctor grade? Who is he from? Is it better than Fairy Jishi?" Master Yuehua shook his head and said, "He doesn't have a doctor grade, and he didn't tell his history." Zichfeng's face suddenly showed disappointment. He shook his head and said, "He doesn't even have a doctor grade. He must be here to fool me. Brother Yuehua, if he can guess your condition, he must have used some kind of petty tricks. It's better to get rid of him quickly." Master Yuehua showed a sly smile and slowly said, "Although he does not have a doctor grade, if I say his name, I believe Brother Zhuge will know him." "Oh, what's his name?" Master Yuehua smiled and slowly uttered two words, "Shiyu." If Jishi cares about her reputation, she won't give up treating just because they hire another doctor. If though, Chapter 932. Got into a Figh, you? Zhuge Feng was taken aback for a moment. This name was a little strange to him, but he widened his eyes in an instant. He said in disbelief, "Is he not the miracle healer Shi Yu, in Yanjing City that you are talking about?" Master Yuehua nodded without hesitation. "It's him." Zhuge Feng was stunned for a while. For ordinary martial artists, the name Shi Yu might not be very famous. But for martial artists engaged in pill refining and physicians, and for Zhuge Feng who was eagerly looking for medical help, Shi Yu, who had just risen in the past 6 months, had long been known by him. When his son was in the worst condition, Zhuge Feng even sent someone to Yanjing City to inquire about this miracle healer Shi Yu. Because he heard people say that this miracle healer Shi connected the broken tendons of Ouyang Haoshuan. He even used unprecedented medical skills. This gave him a glimmer of hope for his son's illness. He asked people to inquire about Yanjing City for several days, but he could not find the so-called miracle healer Shi at all. Later he learned that this miracle healer, Shi went to Breaking Spirit Mountain to participate in the big hunting match. But now this miracle healer Shi actually came to visit by himself. How could this not make Zhuge Feng excited and nervous? But thinking of Fairy Zixi, who was already preparing to treat his son, Zhuge Feng felt a little worried. If I let Shi Yu treat Xiaotian, will I annoy Fairy Zixi? But when he thought of his son's strange illness, even the elders of the Doctors' Association couldn't help it. If so, what if Fairy Zixi couldn't cure it? Shi Yu was his only hope. Thinking of this, Zhuge Feng immediately made up his mind, grabbing Master Yuehua's wrist and saying in a solemn voice, "Brother Yuehua, please take me to see miracle healer Shi. I will ask him to treat my son's disease in person." Before Zhuge Feng's words were finished, a sudden rush of footsteps came from outside the door. A manservant opened the door vigorously and said anxiously, "The maid of Lanxiang Courtyard came to report that Miss Ren Shuling had quarreled with the new doctor. Miss Ren even said that she wants to chase everyone out. Otherwise she and Fairy Zixi will leave." "What did you say?" Zhuge Feng's expression changed drastically. "And you all didn't intervene? This is Fairy Zixi and Shi Yu. If either of them is gone, my son will lose a hope of survival." The manservant wiped the sweat from his face and whispered, "City Lord, things are more than that. Later, even elderly was involved. Now the two sides have started fighting. Damn." Zhuge Feng roared and greeted Master Yuehua quickly. Let's go and see." In Lanxiang Courtyard, the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake flew out. Li Zhenyu cast a defensive golden shield almost without even thinking, blocking the snake fluid that was launched at him. It was just that as the snake venom touched the golden shield shook violently. The rich spiritual power on it was corroded completely in the blink of an eye. It wasn't until a small hole was corroded on the golden shield that the venom completely disappeared. Li Zhenyu breathed a sigh of relief, but he heard a scream from Ren Shuling beside him. Li Zhenyu could use a golden shield to block the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake, but Ren Shuling did not have such a good defensive magic weapon. She shook off a veil to resist the venom. Although she was safe for a moment, the venom still splashed on Ren Shuling's hand in the end. Not on her face. Chapter 933. Who did I as the burning pain came? Ren Shuling screamed. "Cousin!" Li Zhenyu exclaimed and rushed to Ren Shuling's side. He saw that a small hole was corroded on her. A faint black gas was spreading from the bloody wound. If the poison spread throughout her body, she would be killed on the spot. Li Zhenyu immediately glared at Hushi. "How can you be so insidious? If anything happens to my cousin, I will never let you go." Hushi sneered and said, "This snake belongs to you, and the snake venom is also yours. I use your thing to deal with you. Is it considered insidious? Then what are you?" Ren Shuling felt a tingling pain on the back of her hand, and she screamed in fear, "Cousin, save me! Save me! Give me the cure, I don't want to die." Li Zhenyu's face became pale. When he left Yunlan sect, he did have the antidote for the golden ring silver-tailed snake with him. It was just that he met Lu Zixi on the road 2 days ago, and Lu Zixi wanted to study the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake. He naturally gave the snake and the antidote to Lu Zixi without hesitation. Lu Zixi returned the golden ring silver-tailed snake after studying, but she didn't return the antidote to him. For the snake breeder, not having the antidote was extremely dangerous. However, as long as it was Lu Zixi's request, Li Zhenyu agreed without thinking about it. But now, how could the poison on Ren Shuiling's body be cured? Just as Li Zhenyu was anxious and Ren Shuiling was panicking, a gentle but slightly cold voice of a woman came from outside the courtyard. Shuiling, what happened? Senior sister, help me. Ren Shuiling looked up and saw Lu Zixi outside the courtyard, and she immediately burst into tears. These people poisoned me with the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake. Senior sister, please save me. What? Golden ring silver-tailed snake? Lu Zixi's originally cold face showed a shocked expression. She glanced at Hushi and Nangongyu and the others, then hurriedly squatted down beside Ren Shuiling. When Ren Shuiling saw her coming, she seemed to see her life-saving straw. She cried out, Senior sister, you are so powerful. You will definitely be able to detoxify the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake, right? Woo, I don't want to die. Lu Zixi said softly. Don't worry, I'll check it for you. As she said, the pure water spiritual power of her body mixed with the vital wind spiritual power sank into Ren Shuiling's body and slowly wandered through her body. Hushi saw the light green mixed in the dark blue in Lu Zixi's spiritual power, and she couldn't help raising her eyebrow in surprise. Nangongyu whispered in her ear. Wind spiritual power is a variant spiritual root of wood spiritual power. Pure wind element spiritual root will also have the same vitality as wood spiritual root, but it is far inferior to wood spiritual root. But even this kind of pure wind spiritual power attribute spiritual root is not common in Miluo continent. Lu Zixi is very rare to have this kind of spiritual root. Hushi nodded, remembering the rumor that anyone who had a wood spiritual root would be forcibly taken away by the Doctors' Association. She raised her brow with interest. Lu Zixi quickly checked the condition of Ren Shuiling. When she retracted her spiritual power, her face had become extremely solemn like frost. She took out a medicinal pill for Ren Shuiling to swallow. Then she turned around to look at Hushi and the others and said coldly, Who did this to Shuiling? Could it be that the cure is finished in Lu Zixi's hand? Chapter 934. Isn't this a fool? Li Zhenyu walked to her and said in a deep voice, Zixi, sorry, I didn't protect Shuiling well and let her suffer the sinister attack. As he said, he pointed at Hushi and said coldly, He is the one who hurt Shuiling. This young boy is so young but so vicious. He not only ruined my golden ring silver-tailed snake, but he also squeezed the venom from the snake's teeth to attack us, obviously wanting to kill us. Lu Zixi frowned and looked at Hushi. Then she glanced at Nangongyu next to her. She slowly said, Mister, my junior sister apprentice had already apologized for what happened this morning. Time has changed. We should forget past grievance. Why is Mr. so narrow-minded that you still refuse to let go of my junior sister apprentice? You even used poison on my junior sister apprentice. Doesn't Mr. think that you are too vicious? Nonsense. Mo Xiaotu said without waiting for Hushi to speak. She said angrily with red eyes. It's obviously this bad guy in white clothes who let the snake bit me. Brother Shiyu fought back to save me. Why did you say that Brother Shiyu is narrow-minded? You are the narrow-minded one who can't tell right from wrong. Even if you look pretty, I won't like you anymore. What's more, you don't look as good as Brother Shiyu. Brother Shiyu? Lu Zixi frowned when she heard Mo Xiaotu's words, but then she suddenly widened his eyes, showing a shocked expression. You're Shiyu from the Yanjing city. Hushi looked at her with a half-smile. So what if I am? This 16-years-old boy, who has snow-white skin and an appearance that is prettier than me, is the well-known young miracle healer Shiyu in Yanjing city. Maybe Shiyu's reputation in Tiangang Kingdom Yangon City was not particularly well known, so very few people knew about her. However, Lu Zixi was the daughter of the president of the Doctors' Association. How could she not know how terrifying Shiyu was? It was this young boy who appeared out of nowhere and became famous with his ungraded doctor identity. He could actually refine the best quality pills and supply them to Qingxia sect continuously, which caused a crisis in the monopoly of the medicinal pills by the Doctors Association. Lu Zixi took a deep breath and frowned at Hushi. Miracle healer she, I have heard of your big name for a long time. But immediately she changed the thread of discussion and revealed a questioning look. Since you are miracle healer Shiyu, then you have to be benevolence as a doctor. Medical skills are used to save people instead of harming people. Mr. took advantage of your advanced medical skills to use sinister mean on my junior sister. Don't you feel that you have completely violated the way of the doctor? Hushi sneered and said, according to Fairy Zixi, being attacked by others with poison, not only I can't use medical skills to protect myself, but I still have to compliment the attacker? Fairy Zixi is really a saint. I hope that next time someone slaps your left cheek, you will let him slap your right cheek as well. As soon as Hushi said this, Emo Xiaota suddenly laughed out loud. Being slapped on the left cheek and still letting people slap the right cheek? Isn't this a fool? Lu Zixi face flushed suddenly. She glanced at Nan Gongyu, and she noticed that he was looking at the young man with a gentle smile in his eyes. She suddenly remembered that when she was traveling in Songming Kingdom, she heard someone said that King of Hell, Nan Gongyu, abandoned Feng Lianying. It was even because of a handsome young man. It was rumored that Nan Gongyu liked man. Chapter 935. Fight poison with poison. When Lu Zixi heard this rumor, she was even more disdainful of Feng Lianying and the so-called Miluo continent's first genius Nan Gongyu. But now, seeing him looking at Shiyu with such a gentle gaze, but he didn't even turn to glance at her for once, there was a burst of indescribable unwillingness in her mind. As Lu Zixi thought, a cold murderous intent exuded from her face. She looked coldly at Hushi. Mr. Shi, I just hope that you will be kind and don't be ruthless. Why do you misunderstand what I mean? Even my junior sister did wrong, she doesn't deserve death. Does miracle healer she still feel what you did is completely correct? Emo Xiaota jumped up and said, you ask brother Shiyu not to be ruthless to this ugly monster, but they wanted to kill me with a poisonous snake just now. Why don't you reprimand them? Hushi stopped Emo Xiaota and smiled. Fairy Zixi, since when I am ruthless to your junior sister apprentice? The murderous intent exuded by Lu Zixi was even more intense. You know how strong the venom of the golden ring silver-tail snake is, but you still use this venom to attack my junior sister apprentice. Isn't this ruthless? Before Lu Zixi had finished speaking, she suddenly heard Ren Shuling screaming and shouting, it's so itchy! So itchy! Sister, I'm very itchy! As soon as Lu Zixi turned her head, she saw Ren Shuling scratching her arms until her skin was bloody. She was shocked, then she quickly squatted down and used spiritual power to explore again. The more she explored, the more shocked she was. What's going on? I have obviously let Ren Shuling take the antidote for the golden ring silver-tailed snake, but now she is not cured. On the contrary, it seems that some kind of toxin is continuously spreading in her body. Just when Lu Zixi was shocked, he heard Hushi's clear voice behind her. What I used to attack them was not the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake at all. It was just ordinary sulfuric acid water that burned the skin, and some anesthetic was added to it. For martial artists, they can quickly recover by channeling spiritual power. But I did not expect that Fairy Zixi would give your junior sister apprentice the antidote to the golden ring silver-tailed snake without checking it. The antidote to snake venom is usually to fight poison with poison. Since your junior sister apprentice isn't poisoned, then she is really poisoned now. Lu Zixi stood up abruptly, staring at Hushi in disbelief with her hands trembling slightly. Ren Shuling cried out after hearing Hushi's words. Senior sister, save me. Save me. I don't want to be poisoned to death. Lu Zixi frowned fiercely when she heard that. She squatted down, took a snow-white pill from her arm, and let Ren Shuling swallow it. As soon as Ren Shuling saw the pill, she shouted with her eyes brightened up. It's Juka Lingshan pill great. My poison can definitely be cured. Thank you, senior sister. As she said, she swallowed the medicinal pill in one gulp. Almost the moment the medicinal pills entered her abdomen, she felt a warm spring-like current flowing through the meridians throughout her body. The original itchiness and discomfort disappeared in an instant. At the moment Ren Shuling swallowed the medicinal pill, Xiaoqi couldn't help but raised his head abruptly. His body was trembling slightly, and he got close to Hushi. Hushi hurriedly hugged him, gently stroked his long soft black hair and said softly, "Xiaoqi, don't be afraid, sister will protect you and never let anyone hurt you again." This fairy Jishi is really full of bullshit. Chapter 936. How could she be compared? Xiaoqi was stunned for a moment. Then he immediately fell into Hushi's arms obediently, revealing a crystal-clear warm smile. Nangongyu frowned and looked at Xiaoqi, who was nestled in Hushi's arms with annoyance. He wanted to kick this guy out, but he managed to endure it. Lu Jishi turned her head, and saw that Nangongyu was looking at Hushi with a frown. With a move of his mind, she took a deep breath and took a step forward. Miracle Healer Shi's technique in poison is really amazing. I'm willing to admit defeat. It's just that what I'm good at is curing diseases and saving people, so I didn't study too much with poisons. Today, I almost killed my junior sister apprentice. However, since Miracle Healer Shi was watching from the side, why didn't you remind me and watch my junior sister apprentice taking the poison? If I don't have Jiku Lingshan pill with me, wouldn't Miracle Healer Shi become a murderer? Hushi couldn't help laughing when she heard this. She pushed Xiaoqi away, raised her eyebrows and smiled. Who told you that I cure the venom of the golden ring silver-tailed snake? Lu Jishi was startled. Her face looked even more ugly. Such an arrogant and vicious young man. Why will Nangongyu only look at him? She concluded that this Royal Highness King of Hell was just a normal person who judged people by appearance. But even though she thought so, the depression in her heart still couldn't be relieved. Li Zhenyu had been holding back for a long time on the side. At this moment, seeing Lu Jishi being so humiliated by Hushi, he couldn't help but furious. He said with a gloomy face, "You guys get out of Yangon City right away. You are not welcome here." As soon as he spoke, hurried footsteps coming from outside the yard. Soon, Lord Zhugafeng and Master Yuehua rushed over. As soon as Ren Shuling saw Zhugafeng, she immediately screamed, "Uncle Zhuge, why did you invite this group of peasants to treat Brother Xiaotian? Don't you believe in my senior sister's medical skills? Since you don't believe in my senior sister, then we will go immediately." Zhuge Feng's face flushed red immediately. He quickly dissuaded her. "This must be a misunderstanding. Fairy Jishi, Miracle Healer Shi, both of you are famous miracle healers in the world. It is a great blessing for my child to be treated by both of you." Li Zhenyu sneered. "City Lord Zhuge, that Shiyu is just an underage young man who doesn't even have a doctor rank. You actually compare him with Jishi? Are you looking down on Jishi and the Doctors Association?" "Why would I do that? How dare I look down on the Doctors Association?" Zhuge Feng said quickly. "Who does not know the name of Fairy Jishi? It's just that my son's disease is really strange. If more doctors can treat him, there will be more hope to treat him naturally. I also hope that young Master Li will appreciate my love for my son." Ren Shuling furiously said, "My senior sister has said that she can cure Xiaoyan's illness. Now you have invited other people, and you dare to say that you don't look down on my senior sister? Senior sister, we kindly come to treat people, but we are being treated like this. What are we still doing here? We will leave now." As Ren Shuling said, she wanted to pull Lu Jishi away. However, after a few steps, Lu Jishi couldn't help turning around and looking at Hushi and Nangongyu and said suddenly, "Mr. Shi, have you heard of young Master Zhuge's illness? Have you diagnosed him before?" Hushi shook her head. "No." Lu Jishi raised her eyebrows slightly. "Mr. Shi has never seen the patient, and you don't even understand the condition of young Master Zhuge. Then you think that you are capable of curing the patient? Don't let this become a competition, Fairy Jishi. You will only put shame on yourself." Chapter 937. Who will win? Hushi said indifferently. "I of course have to see the patient first before deciding whether I can treat him." Lu Jishi sighed softly. She shrugged off Ren Shuling and said, "Junior sister apprentice, I will stay." "Why?" Ren Shuling yelled in surprise. "Senior sister, they did this to you. They don't believe in your medical skills at all." Lu Jishi shook her head with a shallow smile on his face. The smile seemed to have a holy aura. I'm a doctor, and I'm naturally responsible for my patients. Mr. Shi hasn't even seen the patient, nor does he know if he can heal young Master Zhuge's disease. What if he can't? If I leave and the doctors at Lanxiang Courtyard have all gone? If Mr. Shi can't cure the illness, he at most can't get the divine soul jade, but the young master will continue to suffer from illness. As a doctor, how can I abandon my patients? So, regardless of whether City Lord Zhuge believes in me or not, how Mr. Shi humiliates me, I must stay. Lu Jishi's words moved City Lord Zhuge and Master Yuehua present. They showed admiration to her. Li Zhenyu's gaze looking at Lu Jishi was full of enthusiasm and love, but when Lu Jishi turned around, he immediately lowered his eyes to cover it. Such a kind, holy, and noble Jishi was not a man like him could covet. Lu Jishi smiled slightly and looked at Hushi and said, Mr. Shi, you don't mind if I stay and continue to treat Xiao Zhuge, right? Hushi said, of course not. Lu Jishi glanced at Nan Gongyu, but it happened to meet his eyes. The pair of starry eyes were gleaming. That unparalleled handsome face seemed to be hidden behind a mist, making people ignore and forget about him. However, when facing his face directly, it could bring a monstrous impact. Lu Jishi's heart was throbbing. On the street, although she knew that the man in front of her was King of Hell Nan Gongyu, whether she saw it with her own eyes or she saw him in the recording talisman, he was always in such a magnificent appearance. However, she never realized that Nan Gongyu was so perfect, so touching. Lu Jishi quickly lowered her eyes, concealed her heartbeat, and continued to speak to Hushi. Is Mr. Shi going to see the situation of young Master Zhuge now? Hushi looked at her slightly flushed face and her expression looking at Nan Gongyu from time to time, and she sneered slightly, no need. Since I come later, I will let Fairy Jishi to treat the young city lord first. I will check the young city lord's condition in 2 days. Lu Jishi's heart moved. There was a faint arrogant expression on her face. She said, in that case, I will treat young Master Zhuge again 2 days later. I need to prepare some elixirs. City Lord Zhuge, the morning 2 days later, can you transfer the young city lord to this Lanxiang courtyard? Yes, of course. Zhuge Feng was spirited as he nodded again and again. He believed that as long as Fairy Jishi and Shiyu were there, his son's illness would definitely be cured. Looking at this scene, Bai Hu couldn't help but hit Gu Lufeng with his elbow and said with a smile, is this Fairy Jishi trying to compete with our young master in medical skills? Brother Gu, should we make a bet? Who do you think will win in the end? Gu Lufeng smiled leisurely. Certainly, I will bet Shiyu to win. Is this Fairy Jishi good in medical skills, or she is just pretending? Chapter 938. Let's be who else understood Shiyu's medical skills better than them? Let alone Lu Jishi. Even if Lu Jishi's father, the president, came, he might not be able to win against Shiyu in the technique of healing and poisoning. Bai Hu couldn't help but lower his face and whisper, then how can we bet? I also want to bet on the princess. Gu Liufeng's peach blossom eyes gleamed. Suddenly, a very gentle smile appeared on his mouth. Since we can't bet, it's better to find someone else. Bai Hu was taken aback. You mean? Bai Hu's eyes lit up looking at Shanggu Liufeng's meaningful eyes. He excitedly patted his shoulder. This is a good idea. You really deserve to be the one who manages Xingda Hall. Hee, let's discuss how to spread the news and how to start the bet in such a short time. The two hit it off, and they immediately went to the side and whispered. On the opposite side, Lu Jishi slightly bowed toward Hushi and Nan Gongyu. Then she turned and walked toward her room. This Lanxiang courtyard was very large. The distance between the east and west wing rooms was at least 10 minutes, so they wouldn't disturb each other. Ren Shuling and Li Zhenyu saw that Lu Jishi had gone. They both gave Hushi a cold stare, and left as well. On the way back, Ren Shuling was still angry and unwilling. She grasped her fist and said hatefully, these damn people are really too much. Senior sister is just too kind that she is being bullied like this. Li Zhenyu's eyes flickered with a cold light. He sneered. You wait, as long as Shiyu loses the day after tomorrow, I will let them know what it means to be ruined and fall into the abyss. They actually dare to humiliate Jishi. I will make them pay a painful price. Cousin, you have a way? Ren Shuoling's eyes lit up when she heard this. She jumped up excitedly. Tell me. Tell me. Li Zhenyu hurriedly made a silent gesture and lowered his voice. Jixi is kind-hearted. If she knows what we are doing, she will definitely stop us, but I can see that she can't get over the humiliation, so you should keep your voice down. We will do it by ourselves. Even if Jixi wants to blame later, I will shoulder the responsibility. Ren Shuoling nodded repeatedly. Cousin, don't worry, I will never let senior sister know. The two who were just talking in low voices did not notice that Lu Jixi, who was walking in front, was suddenly moved slightly. Then she continued to walk forward casually. In the early morning of the next day, a hot news began to spread in Yangon City. Have you heard of it? Someone dared to provoke Fairy Jixi's authority, saying that she definitely can't cure the young city lord's illness. They even humiliated Fairy Jixi. What? Someone dared to humiliate Fairy Jixi? Who on earth is so bold? I heard that it was a kid from the Jinling Kingdom. Relying on his little knowledge of some medical skills, he didn't put Fairy Jixi in his eyes. I heard that in the city lord's mansion, he still wanted to kill Fairy Jixi's junior sister apprentice. Fairy Jixi has a temperament, but she was also annoyed by this kid. That's why she proposed to have a medical skills competition with this kid in the Lanxiang courtyard to treat the young city lord's disease tomorrow. Jinling Kingdom? Isn't it just a small country that doesn't even have a big sect? They actually dare to be arrogant in our Tiangang Kingdom? Is this kid tired of living? Lu Jixi must have heard their conversation, but she didn't stop them. Very sus. Chapter 939. The odds of 1:130. Fairy Jixi is so kind to even have a competition with him. I heard that the kid doesn't even have a doctor grade. He provoked Fairy Jixi in order to get famous using Fairy Jixi's reputation. We should just beat up this quack and chase him out of the city. What? He dares to compete with Fairy Jixi without a doctor grade? Is this guy tired of living? If this kid loses to Fairy Jixi, will he be punished? Ugh, that's why Fairy Jixi is kind and tolerant. She doesn't even mean to blame such a vicious and rude kid. The two are just having a competition. The kid doesn't have to be punished whether he wins or loses. Even if he loses, this kid will also be famous by the name of Fairy Jixi. What? Isn't that kid taking all the advantage? No way. I'm going to find someone to find out their whereabouts and let people wait outside the city lord's mansion. As long as this kid loses, I must let people teach him a lesson badly. Yes, since he dared to be disrespectful to Fairy Jixi, we must teach him a lesson. For a time, similar news became a hot topic in the streets of Yangon City. All the people were talking about the competition between Fairy Jixi and the kid from the Jinling Kingdom to see who could cure the strange disease of the young city lord. As for the unfamiliar name Shiyu, they cursed the name badly in the past few days. They had been thinking about how to teach him a lesson when he loses. Even some medicine shop shopkeepers who had heard of Shiyu's name did not believe that Shiyu could beat Fairy Jixi at all. Sitting in the tea house and listening to the rumors of the people below, Gu Lufeng couldn't help showing a cold and evil expression after hearing them scolding Shiyu rudely. They only heard about the rumors, but they actually described Shiyu with such vicious words. Damn it! Baihu sneered disapprovingly. Isn't it good? The less they believe that our young master can win, the more benefits we can get from it. When they lose even their pants, just watch how they cry. The two looked at each other and smiled, both showing a gloomy expression on their faces. After the time of an incense, the two came to the gambling house and found a guy at the gambling house to chat casually. When the guy from the gambling house ran into the house, there was already excitement on his face. In the afternoon, the gambling house listed a bet for the competition in medical skills between Fairy Jixi and Jinling Kingdom's Shiyu. When the people who were originally filled with outrage heard that the gambling house had opened a bet for them, they immediately rushed over to bet. In order to show their support for Fairy Jixi, many people even bet all their assets on her. After Li Zhenyu and Shuling got the news that the gambling house had opened a bet, they also bet all their crystal stones and even a few expensive magic weapons. In just a few hours, The original odds of 1:1 suddenly rose to 1:130. Everyone had to pay a certain processing fee to bet. Although this fee was only a small amount of crystal stone, the people betting this time were just too many. In just a few hours before the evening, the gambling house made a huge profit. The owner of the gambling house happily praised the manservant. Too easy for Hushi. Chapter 940. The Light of Hope. As for Bai Hu and Gu Lufeng, they had secretly bet all their crystal stones, magic weapons and medicinal pills that they didn't use on Hushi. When they went to bet, the gambling house owner looked at them like they were idiots who came to give away money. After the bet started, although some people bet some crystal stones on Shiyu's side with the idea of looking for opportunities, they mostly bet just a few hundred or a few thousand crystal stones to try their luck. Who would be so stupid like these two to bet tens of millions of crystal stone? Wasn't this an idiot? As for whether they were idiots or not, Gu Lufeng and Bai Hu both had sinister smiles on their faces. The gambling house owner will know the results by tomorrow morning. In a wing room in Yangon City, Master Yuehua was sitting in front of the furnace with a hesitation on his face. After the plague, he cured the people of Yangon City and saved thousands of martial artists in the Tsangming Kingdom, but he suffered from this strange disease because of his experimental medicine. No one knew how obsessed he was with medical skills, and how much he wanted to be a pill refiner. However, since the plague more than 10 years ago, he had lost the ability of pill refining. He would never be able to advance in the path of doctor. During this period, Master Yuehua secretly searched for countless ways, hoping to cure his strange disease, but he never did so. Originally, he was almost desperate. Master Yuehua looked down at the pill in his hand and swallowed the pill with determination. As soon as the pill entered his body, he felt a warm current sweeping over his body. When it gathered at his dantian, it jumped slightly as if to appease the injuries in his dantian. The next moment, Master Yuehua opened his eyes abruptly, and the spiritual power ran out from his dantian, condensed to his right hand, and finally burst into flames. Master Yuehua looked at the spark in his hand with shock and disbelief. I can actually condense spiritual fire again. Does this mean I can refine pill again? Master Yuehua trembled with excitement. He staggered over and took out various herbs from the jade shelf and poured them into the pill furnace. Soon, spiritual fire was also injected into his dantian. Master Yuehua only felt that his heart was beating violently. He was ecstatic while panicking, for fear that this wasn't real but just a dream for him. An entire hour passed. A faint light radiated from the pill furnace. Master Yuehua tremblingly lifted the top cover of the pill furnace. When he saw the round and shiny medicinal pills inside, he couldn't help it anymore. 2 lines of tears streamed down from his eyes. How many years has it been? How many years? I have already given up all hope initially, but now I can actually refine pill again. With trembling fingers, he put the medicinal pill into his mouth. The excitement and sentiment on Master Yuehua's face suddenly turned into surprise. Why, I somehow feel that this second-grade spiritual healing pill is much richer and purer than the spiritual power I refined 10 years ago. No, it should be said that this second-grade spirit healing pill is of higher quality and grade than the upper-grade spirit healing pill sold on the market. It's like, right, just like those upper-grade spirit healing pills sold by Qingxia sect and Qingda Hall. Master Yuehua held the remaining medicinal pills while his body was trembling. His eyes shone with hope. He felt that after he finished refining this furnace of medicinal pills, his dantian had recovered that kind of disorganized state. He could no longer condense the spiritual fire. Chapter 941. All people gamble, but at this time, his dantian was much more comfortable than before taking the medicine. This clearly showed that this kind of medicinal pills was not a one-time effect, but a healing effect on his injury. What if I can always take these medicinal pills? What if I can take a lot of these medicinal pills? Is it possible that my illness can be cured? In the future, I can not only refine pill, but I can also refine such upper-grade medicinal pills? At the thought of this, Master Yuehua trembled with excitement. He got up quickly and walked out, His steps were messy and hurried. He wanted to immediately go and ask Xiyu about this medicinal pill, and about how to cure his illness completely. As long as he could continue to pill refining and improve his medical skills, he was willing to pay any price. But as soon as Master Yuehua walked out of his yard, he immediately calmed down. Tomorrow Xiyu will treat the strange illness of Zhuge Xiaotian, and he is in a competition with Fairy Zhishi. How can I bother her in the modern age? Thinking of this, Master Yuehua took a few deep breaths and calmed down slowly. As he was about to walk back, he suddenly heard the chattering of a few manservants and maids not far away. Have you heard of it? The Changel gambling house opened a bet between Fairy Zhishi and the kid named Xiyu. Have you all bet? Who did you bet? Of course, I will bet on Fairy Zhishi. I have bet all my crystal stones and medicinal pills I have earned in the past few years. Although the odds are too low to make a lot of money, it is good to earn some pocket money. Me too. Me too. I've seen that kid. Although he looks handsome, he looks only 16 or 17 years old, and his hair is not full. How can he compare with Fairy Zhishi? Although Fairy Zhishi is only 20 years old, she is the daughter of the Doctors Association's president. She learned medical skills since she was in elementary school. How can she be compared? Humph. That kid dares to be disrespectful to Fairy Zhishi. I have already discussed with Old Six that when he loses, we must teach him a little lesson. Let him know that our Yangon city is not a small country that they can do whatever they want. Teach him a lesson? Good. Good. Count me in. Master Yuehua frowned deeply as he listened to the conversation of several people. Obviously, Fairy Zhishi and Xiyu only agreed to treat the young city lord at the same time. When did they say that they would have a bet? Why will it escalate to such a situation? The gambling house even opens a bet? Moreover, do everyone think that Xiyu will lose? But how can a doctor who can see through my illness at a glance and have a way to refine pill be a simple character? Although Fairy Zhishi is also very good, I feel that Fairy Zhishi cannot be compared with this Xiyu. After all, even the Doctors Association is helpless with the best quality pill refined by Xiyu. A person with great medical skills like Xiyu should be respected and praised by everyone. But now, everyone in Yangon City is slandering him and insulting him. How can this be? Thinking of this, Master Yuehua's heart suddenly surged with excitement, and hurriedly left the city lord's mansion. A quarter of an hour later, Master Yuehua appeared in the Changel gambling house. Master Yuehua was extremely famous in this Yangon city. When the guy in the gambling house saw him, he immediately welcomed him respectfully. Master Yuehua, why are you visiting our gambling house? We are really flattered. Chapter 942. All bet on Xiyu. Master Yuehua said straightforwardly. I heard that you open a bet between Fairy Zhishi and Xiyu? Exactly. The guy at the gambling shop quickly led Master Yuehua to the place where the bet was placed. The place was still full of people at this time, and people kept shouting, I want to bet 8,000 crystal on Fairy Zhishi. Quickly let me bet on Fairy Zhishi. I bet all my money on this. The talisman projection that showed the odds above the betting table was constantly changing at a rapid rate. Fairy Zhishi's winning rate had now exceeded 500. The guy led Master Yuehua all the way through the crowd and brought him to the betting table. He asked eagerly, Master Yuehua, are you here to bet on Fairy Zhishi? How many crystals do you want to bet? I can register for you. No. Master Yuehua shook his head decisively, then he put his storage ring on the betting table. I bet all on Xiyu. As soon as this statement was made, the Changel gambling house was suddenly silent before the betting table. Everyone looked at Master Yuehua with surprised expressions. They were full of disbelief. If the person betting on Xiyu wins was another unknown person, they would definitely not take it seriously. Instead, they welcomed them very much because this was giving them free money. But what if this person was Master Yuehua? Master Yuehua's reputation in Yangon City was comparable to Fairy Zhishi. How could he bet Xiyu to win? Did he think Xiyu's medical skills could be compared to Fairy Zhishi? Master Yuehua didn't say much, put down the storage ring, took the registration inscribed jade slip, and quickly left the casino. Seeing Master Yuehua leaving, someone couldn't help but said, Why does Master Yuehua bet Shiyu to win? Is this Shiyu's medical skills really good? Should we bet some on Shiyu? Humph. What Master Yuehua, haven't you heard of it? This master hasn't been refining pill, and hasn't seen patients for many years. Now he is just a useless person. It is just that City Lord Zhuge appreciates him, so he can do well in Yangon City. I think he must have been crazy to bet on Shiyu. I heard that Shiyu and her patty was recommended by Master Yuehua to the City Lord. I think he is just betting on Shiyu just not to lose face. As soon as these words were said, everyone was suddenly enlightened. Many people were a little bit contemptuous toward Master Yuehua. He actually dares to doubt Fairy Jishi. I think this Master Yuehua is really an old fool. However, some people were still suspicious of Master Yuehua's actions, and some people secretly took back the money bet on Fairy Jishi and bet on Shiyu. But these people were just the minority, so the odds had been stable at 1:500. Until the evening, a young man in green clothes with a grim face came to the betting table of the Changel gambling house. As soon as he stood still, he immediately took out a row of storage rings, lined them up on the betting table, and said coldly, "I want to bet." The person in charge of the bet glanced at him casually, only to find that this man had a cold aura, but his cultivation was mysterious. He was at least at the gold core stage. He quickly changed his contemptuous expression and said respectfully, "May I ask, who are you betting on?" "I'll bet on Shiyu." Another person who bets on Shiyu. The Changel gambling house suddenly became lively again. Chapter 943. Surprising odds. Hey, these are 2 extra chapters for achieving Patreon community goals. The person in charge took the storage rings and threw them into the back window to let people count the value of the items in the rings. As the value of the item was calculated, the odds on the projection talisman would also change. It was just that this guy waited for a long time, but the person behind the window never finished calculating the total value. He couldn't help but turn around and urged, "Are you done? Hurry up, there are still many people waiting behind." A trembling voice came from behind. Okay. Then an inscribed jade slip was sent out, and the guy in charge of registering the bet didn't take a closer look and passed it to the man in green clothes. However, before the man in green clothes took it, a fierce exclamation erupted from the crowd behind him. "Odds! The odds! Look at the odds!" Everyone raised their heads when they heard the sound. Then they discovered to their horror that the original odds of 1:500 instantly became 1:200. The odds of Changel gambling house were calculated by combining the number of bets, the amount as well as some evaluations. It was not that the bet amount was huge. Then the odds would definitely rise ridiculously. At this time, the original odds of 1:500 suddenly became 1:200. How many crystal stones did this man in green clothes bet on Shiyu? Is he crazy? The man in green clothes didn't care about them at all. He walked straight out of the Changel gambling house, leaving behind a burst of discussion from the people in the gambling house. Some people were happy when they see the odds were getting lower, which meant that the profit they could get after winning was higher. But some people looked at the sudden change of odds and felt uneasy. They were hesitating whether to bet on Fairy Jishi and split half of the bet to the strange young boy, Shiyu. What if this boy named Shiyu is really good? Outside the Changel gambling house, Li Zhenyu and Ren Shuling watched the direction the man in green clothes man left and frowned with a sinister expression. Ren Shuling gritted her teeth and said, "Cousin, this man in green clothes is Shiyu's subordinate, right? I saw him before. Do you think they are crazy? Spending so many crystal stones on the bet, they would lose everything if they lose the bet. Or do they really think that kid can beat my senior sister?" Li Zhenyu sneered. "Do you really think the odds are useless? No. This group of people is sinister and shrewd. Now they do this just to build momentum for the kid Shiyu. Didn't you see that many people start to doubt Jishi because of the change in odd? If Jishi heard it, it may affect her performance tomorrow. In this way, Shiyu will have the opportunity to take advantage of it." In fact, Li Zhenyu also used this method to spread news, slander Shiyu, and make martial artists in Yangon City curse Shiyu. These words would be heard by Shiyu. Even if they couldn't, he would let him hear them during the competition tomorrow. This would naturally disrupt Shiyu. He could do this, but he would never let go of anyone who dared to do this to Jishi. What? So it's like this? Ren Shuling burst into anger hearing that. These people are so insidious and shameless. They actually want to use this method to disturb senior sister, so that they can win. And that shit Master Yuehua is really ridiculous. Never mind he brought in the kid, he even bet on him. I don't know why my senior sister still respects him so much. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.